Happy Thursday! Today we are going to bake up a fun card making some realistic frosting using our new Cake Day set. I'm so excited to share that with you. It's a fun card and I know you're going to love it too. So let's get started. Okay, so we have our new Cake Day set. When I first saw this set released, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta have it. The dies are really what made it for me. You can see there's this big cake die, and when we die cut that, it's actually going to become this fun cake. So you can use it, cut it in half and use it as just a flat piece of cake, or we can make this fun interactive cake opening card, which I'm going to show you what we're going to do here in a second. But I just had to have these. I loved all the builder dies that were in this and the candles. We've got little dollops. We've got frosting and cake banners and candles and macarons. Oh my gosh, all kinds of fun things. So let me show you today's card that we are going to make. It is this fun frosted cake. Do you see all that sparkly, realistic frosting? I love that. And then it opens up to be a fun, interactive cake card there. And we are using lots of new things, but I had a team challenge for my team. We do every month a fun team color challenge. And so this month our colors were pool party, pool party, pecan pie, and crumb cake. I'm like, what are the colors? And so I have to always participate because I think it's so fun. Our team really has the best time together with our fun, crafty challenges and all the things. So this was my card for the Team Color Challenge, and I just loved it so much I had to share it with you all. So let's get started. And before we do, real quick, if you need the measurements for today's card, the step-by-step instructions, a picture, the measurements, all of that, you can find them by subscribing to my weekly Buzz Bulletin. You can find that on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com. And if you love today's card as well and would love all the pre-cut pieces, I know many of you love when I do the die cutting for you and you get the printed tutorial mailed to you with a whole fun card kit packet. Well, you can do that by ordering anything from me from my online store with $50 or more before tax and shipping, and after any Stampin' Rewards, you will actually get a kit in the mail. A freebie from me is what I call it, and it comes with the pre-cut pieces for today's project where you'll be able to actually make 3 of these fun cards. So you have until next week, Wednesday night, so right before Thanksgiving, from when this video launches, and you'll be able to get those pre-cut pieces. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that I love to do with any type of set that has all kinds of dies like this is I love to just play die cutting fun. And so that is what I did. I have this tray here and you can see I die cut all the little dollops. Aren't those just adorable? The candles and the little flames. We've got the macaron icing, which is so fun. Let me just show you. Here's the little macarons. If you die cut them in black, they kind of look like an Oreo too. And then you take the little frosting. Now, I thought originally it sort of looked like a pie, like the top of a pie, right? But if you take this, it's meant to kind of peek through here. So let me see. How did I do this? Opposite way. So we kind of push it through, and then that little frosting kind of sticks out in the middle. And then you have this cute little macaron. And so then you would just adhere it from the back side. But doesn't it kind of look like the top of a pie when it's that way? I thought so. So you just want that little ruffle to kind of go through. But I thought that was such a fun little die cut. These are the little frosted dollops. Here, let me get the stamp set right here. So that's going to actually die cut those. And these are really forgiving to stamp on, so you can die cut them ahead and then stamp. I found it worked really well with this shape. Sometimes it's, you know, really close and hard to get stamped, but this one seemed to be okay. We've got this great banner that's in there, all kinds of dies. Of course, our cake builder part. And then this piece is the piece that we're gonna actually frost today, which goes on top of the cake right there, just like that. And that would create that kind of frosted area of your cake. So that is the first thing that I do with any type of these builder, I call them builder die sets, where you can really build your images with all those fun parts and pieces. So that's kind of always my step one with anything like that. So I have all those ready to go when we get to that step. But the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do our frosting, because that part does take some time to dry. So I'm just gonna bring in some grid paper. I have already used this die here to die cut for us this cake frosted area. So this is crumb cake here. So I'm just gonna set that aside. And then I'm gonna actually bring in some of this super fun, where's the English? There it is. Shimmery white embossing paste. And I'm gonna bring in my palette knife. So the palette knives come in a little tool set like this. It's a set of 3. I like to use this little skinny one. I just have small hands, so it's easier for me to control, but there are 2 other shapes. This long one, sort of like a plastic knife, works really good as well. This bigger one is great for larger projects. So that's the palette knives set that we have. So I'll be using that smaller one. And then we do have 2 of these embossing paste. One is just a white, plain white, but you know me, I love some sparkles and glitz. And so this one is the shimmery white. And so it already has some built-in sparkles. Now what's really fun about this paste is you can actually take your re-inkers, your stamp re-inkers, take a little bit of this paste, mix it together with your palette knives, and you can create a colored paste as well. Today we're going to be using the white, because I just love that white frosting look. And can you see those fun sparkles in there? Oh, I just love it. Okay, so we're just gonna grab some of this paste. So you can see it's kind of, it already looks like frosting to me. Don't eat this one, but it looks like you could, right? And so we're just gonna take on this scratch grid paper here, and we're gonna frost our cake piece here. So I'm just kind of putting on kind of thick layer. I mean, not too thick, but you don't want it thin. You really want it to look like frosting. So once I get that on, then I kind of take the end there of my palette knife and I kind of make lines in it to kind of mimic the look of frosting. Okay, then any excess I just kind of wipe it onto the edge because we can use that later. Our knife is pretty clean there, and then we'll just stick our topper. I like to leave this on because it kind of seals it back and keeps it nice, and put our lid back on. And what I've found to keep it not from hardening is to keep it in that zip plastic bag it comes in. So that is how I store mine. I just keep it right in there, sealed up, and it just helps to keep whatever's inside there. As long as your lid's on tight and this is sealed, it keeps it really well. So this is just gonna need a few minutes to dry, so that's why we started with that. So we're just gonna set that aside and let it do its frosted magic there. And let's start putting our card base together. So I've got my pecan pie. We've got some designer series paper. So I am using this piece here. I love those dots. The back side is some crafty fun. And this designer series paper actually comes from this new set, Hobby Haven. And it has all these fun kind of pre-die cut pieces and all these different hobbied papers. So we've got some cooking, some great basics on the back. We've got a leisurely chair and plant kind of design. Great for relaxing, right? And then we've got some of these other pieces. You can see I've already used a bunch, but there are some pampering, some reading, all kinds of different fun designs in that paper. So we're gonna use that. So let me grab my liquid glue here, and we are just going to attach this piece. Remember, all the measurements are gonna be on that free tutorial. I just love to provide that each week for you as just a thank you for watching, for liking, subscribing, all of that. I just appreciate you guys and your support, and so it's just kind of a little thank you from me. So again, you can subscribe to my email newsletter. It's free, and I just send that out weekly with all of that week's projects and any kind of tips and fun. Okay, so we've got our DSP adhered to just our flat panel card base. And then I've got some of this white specialty paper. So let me get real close. Do you see the texture on that? So this is called Whispers of Texture. Whispers of Texture. And it's just this white specialty paper. There is some corrugated pieces. If you loved our corrugated embossing folder that we used to have, this is very, very similar. And then there is this kind of woven texture. That's what we're using today. And so you just get a bunch of that to make your designs. So that's what we're using for our second layer. And this layer we're actually going to pop up on dimensionals. So we want to give it some height, right? So we're just going to go ahead and put these in the corners. This card comes together really fast. I have had so much fun baking in real life that I had to transfer that fun to my card making. So I'm sort of baking on our card today. Flat baking, and you know, card baking is 0 calories and totally healthy and good for you, right? So it's the best of the best. Just peeling these off, and we'll just go ahead and center that on there and pop that piece up. And so that is our base layer that we've got ready to go. Now we're gonna bring in that cake die cut. I'll just set that aside. So this is that cake die cut. This is out of crumb cake. And so you're gonna wanna make sure you face it the right way. It sort of looks like it should be this way, at least in my eye, but actually this rounded piece is what's gonna be the top of the cake, because that piece that we frosted is gonna go right on it just like so. So it creates kind of that cake layered look. So you want to make sure you face it the right way. And then I'm going to bring in some stamps. So in our stamp set here, we've got all these different kind of cake pieces that we can stamp. So we could actually stamp that cake layer. We've got some sprinkles we could fill in there if we wanted to. We've got the layer pieces. So this is one stamp here. We're going to use that today. And you've got a couple other layers that you can build on that cake. We've got a stamped candle, some sentiments that are great. These actually, this happy birthday is kind of curved, and the congrats is kind of curved. And so it actually fits in this die that is like this curved banner. So that's kind of fun. But we are gonna use, so this piece here and the sprinkle piece is what we're gonna use today. So I've got my pecan pie ink here, and we've got our kind of this double layer piece. And so we want this to line up at this angle. And so I just kind of started towards the bottom. Let me bring that in so you can see. So I just kind of started towards the bottom and then lined it up with that and then moved up a bit. So we're just going to give ourselves one stamp there, and then we're just kind of line that up and move up a bit. And and stamp our second layer there. So we've just kind of got those almost like a layered cake look. Then we've got those fun sprinkles, and we're gonna take those and we're gonna stamp them inside of that line that we just stamped. So we're just kind of filling in those layers. Isn't that fun? So we've got kind of our sprinkle layers. We're gonna need our pecan pie still, and now we're gonna need a sponge dauber, because I really wanted this to not look, this kind of looks flat, right? I wanted it to really come to life and look like that yummy cake that we just want to take a bite of. So I'm gonna actually bring in another piece of grid paper here. I've got my dauber. I have one for every color. You can see I just have my regular Brother P-Touch labeler and write the color on there. And we're just gonna ink this up. So you can see we've got our ink on there, our same pecan pie. And I'm just gonna fill in the in-between areas here. So I'm just kind of lightly daubing all these in-between layers, and you can kind of go a little bit to the left here if you want. We're going to cover up this part with our frosted area, and I'm just kind of lightly daubing. You don't want to like press real hard because you'll get a real dark circle blob on there, but if we just kind of lightly go over this whole thing just to kind of fill it in, and I'm just kind of going back and evening it out, making sure it's filled how I like. A little bit more down here. Okay, so you see how we've kind of filled that in. It will dry a little bit lighter, but we just kind of want it to look like that spongy, yummy cake. So now we are done with our pecan pie, and we're gonna start assembling some of our fun pieces here. So we've got our cake. It's going to dry there. We will add our layer at the very last because we want it to be dry. And I'm gonna bring in some of those pieces that I told you that I die cut. So we've got these little dollops, that's what I like to call them. And they come in two angles, I guess you would call it, where the dollop goes. So you're gonna need one of each of those, and these are both in crumb cake as well. And so we'll need those. We're gonna need a candle and the little burst. So the burst I actually die cut out of some gold foil, so we'll need that. And then we have our candle here. And the candle we're using today is Pool Party. And so you actually, what's really cool about this die is it actually die cuts 3 at a time. So you just pass it through once, and 3, those lovely candles come out. I love when our dies do that, cutting multiple at one time, right? Okay, so now we're gonna actually adhere all of this to our cake before we put it on to the base. I just found that was a lot easier. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm gonna adhere my little dollops to each other, and then I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of glue right at the bottom there, and then I'm gonna take my whole cake, and what I like to do is just press my cake to the dollops, because then they're gonna get where I want them to be. The back side doesn't matter because we're gonna adhere that to our card base. And then the same thing with our candle here. Just gonna add a little bit, little dot at the bottom of my candle. I'm gonna take my whole cake and press that to my candle there. So you can see I just kind of picked it up that way. And then the same thing with my little burst here. This one, I'm actually going to put my glue, my little dot of glue to the back of my candle there. Set that to that little burst. Ooh, my finger picked that right up. Let's try that again. Just hold it there a second because it's that gold foil, right? Okay, so then we have all of that is attached right to our cake, and then we can attach our cake right to our card base. I just found it was a lot easier to do it this way than to try and get all the pieces tucked under. So we're just gonna add our liquid glue, add a little bit to the back of these pieces that stick up because we want them all adhered, right? And then we're just going to center this whole thing and just kind of hold it there a second. There we go. And then our card opening, this is where we'll write our message. So you could absolutely decorate the inside. I like to write lots of messages, so I like to leave that part blank for this. Okay, so then we're gonna bring in our embellishment. Let's just finish off our candle here. So these are our new embellishments, Pearls of Beauty. So there's some kind of gold, like a pecan pie, right? There is this beautiful coral and then the white. And any of the colors will look great. I'm gonna actually use the coral because it sort of looks like the flame of the candle, right? So we've got that there. Then I'm gonna bring in my Wink of Stella, and this whole, what are those called? Sprinkle area, we are going to add this on this sprinkled layer, Wink of Stella. And the camera may or may not pick this up, but what we are doing is we are adding sparkles to that layer. So we're just going to take our Wink of Stella, kind of circular motion, and go over this whole area. We want it to be full of sparkle, right? I think you can never have too much sparkle. Okay, then while we have our Wink of Stella here, I also like to take, and on these die cut lines that are on our dollops, I gave them a little bit of that sparkle as well. And then the same thing with these lines on the candle. I just kind of went right along those to give them a little sparkle as well. Okay, so now let's stamp our sentiment. So for our sentiment, this is the Let's Celebrate right here from our stamp set. And you could absolutely put it on this banner here or anything really. It's a little big, I thought, for the cake where I had it. So what I used was this, my favorite new punch that we have, which is this 3-banner punch. Now, if you are like me, you have lots of these little strip scraps that you get from cutting down basic white layers, right? For insides of cards and things. Well, they work perfect for these banners because you can see, maybe I don't want all 3 cut at one time. I'm actually using this middle one today. So I can just put these strips down the side and use up my basic white scraps that I have. And it works perfect. Now I can just toss that and toss these little pieces, right? And now I have these great banners in just the size that I wanted for today. You can also cut your own banners if you don't have that punch. I am not so good at cutting my own banners, and it really bugs me when they don't line up. And so, or when they're uneven, right? So I am a fan of banner punches and dies, because then I don't have to guess at it. So this is just some early espresso. I'm just gonna ink up my Let's Celebrate. And we'll just go ahead and line this up. It fits so good on this banner. Stamp that down. And there we go. While I have this here, I'll just stamp a few more. I love to stamp like extra pieces, and then I just keep them inside my stamp case for the next time. So that way, if I need a quick card, I have like extra pieces ready to go. Okay, so we will put that aside. And we'll grab one of our banners here and our Stampin' Dimensionals. And we'll put these on the back. And then we'll go ahead and attach our fun frosted layer and our card will be done. It's really easy with all of these die pieces, right? They make it super easy for us to do. Okay, so let's check if this is dry. I do have a couple pieces that are already dry for us, which I just may end up using because, let's see, I think it is still a little bit wet there. It's still coming on me. So we're gonna let this piece dry, but you can see, look how frosted it's looking, and do you see those fun sparkles that are in there? I just love that embossing paste. So let me show you one that's dry, and we'll just go ahead and attach this one. So when it's dry, they do kind of curl a little, but you can bend them, and we're just gonna add our liquid glue to this. You wanna make sure that you get it to the edges so that it adheres real well to your cake. Okay, so then we're gonna take our cake piece and we're just gonna line this up. And because it's frosted and thick, we wanna kind of hold it there as we're lining this up. We wanna kind of hold it down so that it really adheres, especially if it's curled up a bit. You can really see as it dries those beautiful sparkles, right? And you can see it still opens. And let me just hold this down a little more here so that it really adheres. It just takes a few seconds, but you want it to be flat, right? We don't want it to be curled up on our cake. Okay, looks good. Now we will just peel off the back of our banner dimensionals here. There we go. And I just stuck this banner kind of in that center of our little cake layers there. If it hangs off the edge a little bit, it's okay because that opens up real easy and then we can just write our message. But isn't that a fun interactive card to just be able to show that? And I love how realistic that cake looks. You can see the more lines you do, it will look a little more, more frosted. You could put a second layer on there if you want. This one has a little bit more, this one has a little bit less. I really like that more because it really looks like that frosting, right? That frosted, realistic frosted layers. So let me move that to the side, put those there for you. And again, if you want that free PDF, you can just go ahead and subscribe to my weekly Buzz Bulletin newsletter, and I'm happy to send that out each week as just a little fun freebie from me. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you will make some of these calorie-free cakes and share them with me. I love seeing your ideas too. I love hearing your comments and seeing all the fun cards that you guys are creating, making, and sending to bless others. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.